We love talking Oklahoma football here. Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, and the Sooners are loaded for 2021. We got Jason Ray on the line from Last Word on College Football to help us break it down. Jason joins us on a regular basis, and so we encourage you to head on over to Last Word on College Football. It's a great breakdown with Jason and the rest of our friends over there on Last Word. Jason, how's it going today?
Very good, Mark. Thanks for having me here.
Of course. This offensive line for Oklahoma heralded as one of the best in the nation pretty much every year. And even when they've had to lose 4 or 5 of those players onto the NFL, they've been able to reload and then field arguably the best offensive line in the country again. Something stuck with me in regards to Creed Humphrey and his loss way back early in his career. I remember just the accolades pouring down in our conversations and then hearing also on the game broadcast of just what an intelligent player he was, that he was just a phenom when it came to X's and O's, schemes, understanding the defense, looking at the blocking of what needed to be executed against different fronts. He was just a different level player almost from the time he stepped on campus.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things, Mark, that he got credit for, to your point, was even early on as a true freshman, he had the mental capability to come in and play right away. Didn't play as much really just from a physical standpoint. He wasn't quite ready, but to that point, he did have the X's and O's, the mentality that you have to be that position. Certainly, it's kind of like certainly like the quarterback of the offensive line. So I think, we talked about some of the losses, and certainly we'll in future discussions we'll get into some of the other losses through the other positions. But looking at this team for 2021, Creed Humphrey might be the single biggest impact just in terms of loss. What they've had, they haven't really had anybody play much time at the center position over the last few years. Creed has been very he's been very durable. He hasn't missed much time. So, one of the big parts of this team, specifically offensively, is going to be how they're going to replace him on the offensive line. Offensive line is probably the biggest question mark, from the offensive side of the ball, maybe overall in the entire team in 2021. Not in terms of just a concern, but really just kind of wondering how Oklahoma is going to be able to fill that spot specifically with Creed Humphrey. A couple of guys that will probably battle for that position. Chris Murray is a transfer from UCLA, played last year sparingly, played a little bit more towards the end of the year. Would probably remind Oklahoma fans of Eric Rayne, maybe a little bit more of a more athletic and a little bit of a stronger Eric Rayne from a couple of years ago that played center for Oklahoma for 2 seasons. So he will battle for the starting spot. And another individual named Robert Congo, that is a transfer from Arizona that Oklahoma got, not very highly recruited out of high school, has moved over a couple of times, but offensive line coach Bill Beanbo must have seen something in him. Big body. I think he's around 6'5", 6'6", over 300 pounds. Those two are the guys that will probably battle. One of the other things that the offensive line coach Bill Beanbo likes to do is he likes to move his players around a little bit and give them different opportunities to be successful. So you might see some of the guards try to go in there and battle for that starting spot, really just from a spring perspective, just see what players can do, where they can go. So I think, that's one thing to look at in the spring, and then as we go through the summer and fall is the center position on the offensive line, how that battle works its way through that time.
So by losing a couple players along the offensive front, and I see nobody early enrolled on campus from the offensive line position. I see a couple of guards coming in, and Savion Byrd in particular, 4th-rated guard in the country. How do we think that the rest of it shakes out in regards to the other positions, and if these guys are going to be possibly a factor?
Yeah, so the second biggest loss was, the loss of Creed was a little bit to be expected. He was a senior. Certainly he could have opted to come back in for his additional senior year this year, but that was pretty much to be expected. One that wasn't quite as expected, at least at the the midpoint to the latter part of the year, was Adrian Ely, the left tackle. Big guy, probably 6'8", over 300, very prototypical NFL body. So I think that's another one that'll have the opportunity to be replaced, and it'll be interesting to see how they replace him. You met Tennessee transfer Wanye Morris is the only, it's not really an early enrollee, but he transferred from Tennessee. All indications that all the kids from Tennessee will most likely get to be eligible immediately. I can't really see a scenario, and with what everything happened at Tennessee, that they wouldn't have that opportunity. So I think that's certainly a big gift for Oklahoma to have him. A guy had 19 starts at Tennessee over the last couple of years. Left tackle probably is going to be a plug and play, you would think. Certainly get acclimated to the scheme and everything, but you would think that he would be right there from a left tackle perspective. So you got two spots there that will really be interesting to see how the competition works out. I think, like I said, with Wanye Morris, the experience that he has at left tackle, a little bit better. Oklahoma probably feels, just in terms of having a guy that's played a lot, has the ability to move maybe from a right tackle to left tackle perspective. The other positions are the two guards will be interesting. Marquise Hayes is a returning starter, and then we also have Tyrese Robinson, who is another starter on the guard on the offensive guard position. So, I think Marquise Hayes, he's played really well. It was very much up in the air whether he would go pro early. Decided to come back, improve his draft stock a little bit. He was probably a third, fourth round pick, maybe even a little bit lower. So decided to go back to see if he could. He's probably a pretty firm starter on the left side, but on the right side, Tyrese Robinson, he's played well, but not quite as well as the standard that, to your point, as you let off, that Oklahoma has had on the offensive line. So I think you'll see a battle there on the right guard, just a competition through spring and fall. A couple of guys to keep in mind. Andrew Rayne was a true freshman last year, locally out of Oklahoma. Played a little bit. Very glowing reviews from Bill Bedenbaugh. Really probably wasn't ready from a body perspective to compete immediately, really, because of the lack of spring that that happened came in for some of those freshmen. It'll be interesting to see how he kind of goes through the spring. Does he push Tyrese Robinson? A lot of people, including myself, thinks that he does have the opportunity to unseat him. And I think the other tackle, the right tackle, will be interesting. Eric Swinson was a senior last year, elected to come back for his additional senior year this upcoming year. He's been a little bit maligned just in terms of his lack of footwork, foot speed from a right tackle perspective. Got a little bit better as the season ended last year. Another guy that he'll probably be battling with is Anton Harrison, true freshman last year, played a lot, started quite a few games for Oklahoma, but Swinson kind of took a little bit of the limelight away, if you will, from him, just in terms of how much he improved at the latter part of the year. So those two guys will be interesting to see how that works out on the right tackle position.